When people talk about courage, they often imagine heroes standing tall, unshaken, staring danger in the face without blinking. But that image is wrong. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the mastery of it. The human brain is wired for survival. Fear isn't weakness, it's a built-in alarm system, a whisper from the amygdala warning us of potential pain, failure, or loss. Without it, we wouldn't last a day in the real world. Yet courage begins precisely where fear exists. The moment you feel the tremor in your chest, your palms sweat, and your mind screams "turn back," that's where courage has a chance to emerge. What separates the brave from the cowardly isn't biology, it's choice. Both feel fear, but one decides to act despite it. Psychologists describe courage as a form of approach behavior, when the desire for a goal overrides the desire to avoid pain. Soldiers don't run into battle because they're fearless, but because something bigger, loyalty, love, duty, outweighs the terror of death. That's the first truth of courage: it's never clean, and it's never easy. It's a war between two instincts, the instinct to protect yourself, and the instinct to protect what you care about. Courage begins in the mind long before it shows in action. There's a pattern, a moment of hesitation, followed by a spark of decision. Neuroscience shows that courage activates the same regions of the brain responsible for emotional regulation and decision-making, the prefrontal cortex dampening the fear signals from the amygdala. In simpler terms, courage is emotional control under threat. But here's what most people miss: courage isn't always about dramatic acts. Sometimes, it's the quiet defiance of continuing to live after heartbreak, showing up to a job you hate because your family depends on you, or daring to speak truth in a room full of silence. Courage can be loud, but more often, it's quiet. There are different forms: physical, moral, social, and psychological. Physical courage might involve danger. Moral courage is standing for what's right, even when it costs you comfort. Social courage is revealing your true self when the world expects conformity. And psychological courage is perhaps the hardest, confronting your own shadows, your flaws, your failures. The kind that requires brutal honesty. Every act of courage, no matter the scale, begins with vulnerability. You can't be brave without exposing yourself to risk. And that's what makes courage both painful and beautiful. It's the art of walking naked into uncertainty, trusting that you'll survive whatever happens next. Courage doesn't guarantee success. In fact, courage often ends in loss. But courage is about value, not outcome. The brave don't act because they know they'll win, they act because what they stand for is worth the risk. This is why true courage often looks irrational. To the outsider, the firefighter running into the burning building or the protester standing before tanks seems insane. But from the inside, their reality is different. Their fear is real, but their reason is stronger. Courage is clarity under pressure, the ability to distinguish what matters from what doesn't. It's also an act of rebellion against the illusion of control. When you act courageously, you accept that you might lose. You surrender the need to predict every outcome. And in that surrender, you find freedom. But courage can also go dark. Not every bold act is noble. History is full of men who mistook recklessness for bravery, tyrants, extremists, thrill-seekers who chased chaos for ego's sake. Real courage isn't about proving your strength, it's about serving your values. There's a thin line between courage and pride, between bravery and delusion. True courage requires wisdom, the self-awareness to know why you're doing something. When courage is fueled by rage, desperation, or vanity, it turns destructive. That's why courage without humility can corrupt. Yet even flawed courage can inspire. Because deep down, we admire anyone who dares to act. The human mind is drawn to those who move forward when everyone else hesitates. We see in them what we wish we had, the ability to choose conviction over comfort. Courage isn't reserved for heroes. It happens in hospitals, classrooms, and lonely apartments. The cancer patient who keeps smiling. The teacher who speaks against a system designed to silence them. The person who admits they need help. The artist who risks rejection by showing their truth. We live in a time where fear has become invisible, fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. Modern courage looks different now. It's emotional resilience. It's choosing authenticity in a culture of performance. It's speaking honestly when the algorithm rewards conformity. To be courageous today isn't about grand gestures. It's about integrity. It's about refusing to become numb in a world that profits from your passivity. Courage can't be learned from books, it's cultivated through discomfort. Every time you face what scares you and keep moving, your threshold for fear lowers. You build psychological calluses. The brain learns that fear doesn't mean stop, it means go carefully. You don't need to be fearless. You need to be honest. You need to know what you're willing to fight for. Courage isn't loud. It's often shaking hands doing what must be done. It's the quiet whisper, "I'll try again tomorrow." In the end, courage is the root of all growth. Every meaningful transformation, love, change, creation, truth, begins with one small act of bravery. The decision to face fear, rather than run from it. The world doesn't need more heroes. It needs more people who are willing to act despite the trembling in their chest. Courage isn't about power or status, it's about conviction. To live courageously means to live consciously, to be awake to fear, to doubt, to pain, and still choose to move. Because the goal of courage isn't to kill fear. It's to dance with it, to walk beside it, to let it remind you that what you're doing truly matters. The brave aren't different from you. They just decided that fear would no longer be their master.